Hello crafty friends, I'm Lean from Studio Kato and I'm so happy to be back with another video. Today is more Halloween cards and I chose one stamp set from my favorite things. I stamped all of the images once and I made 3 cards with them. I love every single one of them. I am so ready for Halloween. And yeah, so let's get started with the stamping. I'm going to stamp, like I said, all of the images in the stamp set. This is the Best Witches stamp set from my favorite things. And I am stamping all of these images onto Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink. Now, as always, I left the stamps in my Misti while I was coloring, and then I stamped it again after I'm done coloring. I am not going to show that part. I do it every single time so you can see it in pretty much any of my other videos. So yeah, I sped up the coloring process a lot. I think I spent 40 minutes coloring all of these images, which honestly isn't that bad if I got 3 cards out of them. I'm not a fast colorer at all. But these Ohuhu markers are a dream to work with. I highly recommend them. If you are interested in seeing a less sped up version of the coloring, I might upload that video. I am not going to put any commentary with it because I just color from my darkest to my lightest color and I intensify some of the colors by going back over them. But there's not much else to say about that. So I'm not going to provide commentary for a coloring video, but I might put music on it or whatever you want. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I will upload a less sped up version of this. Now, all of the marker numbers I will have linked below in an Instagram post for this, for one of these cards. I always make swatch cards of my Ohuhu markers combinations that I used. So you can find all of those combinations in the Instagram post. Maybe I'll make a Pinterest post. Whatever I do, I will link it below so you can refer back to that if you're interested in the marker combinations. Once I'm done coloring, I stamped and embossed these images with Versafine Onyx Black and Wow Clear Gloss Superfine Embossing Powder to get a glossy, shiny black outline. Now for my first card, this was the main card I had in mind. I am going to make a really quick background with some Lindy's Gang Magical Shakers. I used, well, the colors were just on the screen and now they've disappeared again. The lightest one is Guten Tag Teal and the darkest one is Afternoon Delight Denim, I think. The names are very long. I only have 5 bottles of these, I think, and I keep forgetting the names. Now, the trick of these is just pick up any excess water on your sheet with a paper towel and leave it to dry. Just leave it alone and you're going to get a beautiful background. Now, to turn that watercolor background into a card, I am going to die cut it with the Partly Cloudy die cut by Hello Bluebird, and I also die cut that from black cardstock a few times and then once from black glitter cardstock. And I layered those up for the outline, and I'm going to use the watercolor background to inlay the clouds. Now that means I have a lot of that watercolor background left over, and I'm actually going to use that for another card really soon. I already made it, but I'm not sure when I'm going to post a video on that. So I just fill in the clouds with some liquid glue. This is Barely Art Precision Craft glue, but any PVA glue will work. And I just inlay those clouds. It's really easy to do. Now, because I layered up the outline, sometimes it's a little hard to inlay pieces when you've layered up the outline because your pieces get caught on the layers of the outline. Just use some tweezers or whatever you have to push it down into the well of the outline and you're going to be fine. These sentiment strips are from the Itty Bitty Boos stamp set by My Favorite Things. I love the Itty Bitty sentiments by My Favorite Things. They have them for all occasions They have a small stamp set for Christmas. They have a small stamp set for all occasions. I think they have one for Welcome Baby or something like that. They have a ton of these, and they're mini stamp sets, so they come at a great price point, but they always include a lot of sentiments. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, and I really, really like them. I have 3 of them now with the Halloween included, and I'm very happy with them. I adhered them onto a strip of cardboard to prop them up, and I'm putting that on my card. And that pretty much finishes it off. Now for all 3 of my cards, I am going to finish it off with some gems by Crafty Meraki. I completely forgot to include the names of these, and I'm not sure I'm going to include them in the video description either. There's just a ton of products to include here. I use a lot, but I'll try to remember to include the gems as well. I adhere those with Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and that is the finished card. It is very sparkly because the Lindy's Gang Magicals also include shimmer in them, so this is a very, very shiny card, and I love it. Now for my second card, I made a clean and simple card with a new stencil by My Favorite Things. This is the Paint Strokes stencil. I am just going to ink blend a couple of paint strokes on the top of my card, and I'm using Concord and 9th inks for that. I think I used all of the blues, and I love the blues of these Concord and 9th inks. They are very, very beautiful. Now the important thing is to use new bits of painter's tape every time, because it picks up some of the ink that's left over on the stencil, and that is going to get on the white of your card. Ask me how I know. I made this card twice. So luckily the second time there was no accidents of ink getting on the white parts of the card. I think there was a little, but I was able to get rid of it with a sand eraser. I'm stamping one of the stamp sets, or one of the sentiments from the Happy Witches stamp set by My Favorite Things in Versafine Onyx Black ink at the bottom of the card panel. And then I am also embossing this with Wow Clear Gloss Super Fine Embossing Powder. I'm going to heat set that with the Wow Jewel Speed Heat Tool, and that is going to finish off my background or my card front. And all that's left to do is adhere the images in place. I'm going to use the flying bat for this card once I am done adhering this panel on top of a card base. You can do this directly on your card base, obviously. I just don't like working directly on the card base because I use pretty bad cardstock for my card bases. It's very cheap, but very sturdy, so it's only good for card bases. But it's not great for inky techniques or anything like that. That's why you always see me use a separate panel. Yeah, so I glued the clouds down, and then I'm just propping up the flying bat with her pumpkin onto some foam tape. And that's it. Again, I am going to use some gems to finish it off. These are also by Crafty Meraki, and I just used a couple of them around the bat. When you're adhering embellishments, just think about which part of your card you want to highlight, and put a couple of them, a handful of them, around the image you want to highlight. That always does the trick for me. Now for my last card, this is going to be a very dramatic card, and I really like this one. I think this is my favorite of the three, though I love them both. You can see me use the mini inkstand there. I love that to hold my ink cubes. I highly recommend it. You can find that in the description below as well. It's one of those tools that you don't think you need until you've used it, and then you understand. So I really, really like it. And I use it to hold my ink cubes all the time, even if I only use one of them. I even intensified the edges of that colored cardstock with some Versafine Onyx Black. Don't forget, you can use that for ink blending as well. It is the most intense black ink that I know, or that I have, and I love it for things like this. Now, the spider web is a die by the Stamp Market. It's called Webbed, and I really, really like it. I think it was released last year, but it's just really beautiful. I cut it from white cardstock a couple of times, layered those up, and then I put a layer of silver glitter cardstock on top of that as well. And it's going to be a perfect backdrop for this gorgeous armchair. I am very happy with the coloring I did there, but it's pretty easy to color too, because it's such a large area. And I just love that green. I'm very happy with my Ohuhu markers, if you couldn't tell yet. I'm putting some of the pumpkins around that, and then I'm going to glue on the bat or the cat. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a cat with wings to me. It might just be a bat. I don't know. I'm gluing that in the armchair, and then I used a couple more of those sentiment strips from the Itty Bitty Boos stamp set, and some more embellishments from Crafty Meraki. Like I said, this is a very dramatic card, and I love it. I love blackened edges. They always draw the eye right to the center, and that spider web helps a lot with that as well. So there you have it, one stamp set, 3 cards. I used every single image in the stamp set just once, and I came up with a couple of really fun card designs, I think. I really like the Partly Cloudy die by Hello Bluebird that you can see here. It's just a fantastic backdrop for any sky card you want to make. I love it, and that paint strokes stencil is so versatile as well. It can be a really simple backdrop for a flower image too, just one of those paint strokes. You can make a ton of fun backgrounds with this, I imagine. I hope you liked the cards, and I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.